What's going on, fellow backpackers? My name is Dan, and today I am talking about how to use your phone for making hiking videos. So all the videos that I've made up to now and for the foreseeable future, including all my trip videos, have been made with a phone. So in this video, I'm going to start off talking about all the benefits of using your phone for making hiking videos. Then I'm going to go into my own setup, including all the accessories and apps that I use to make my filming experience a bit better. And I will include links in the description to all the different products I'm talking about in case you want to check anything out further. But as usual, I am not sponsored by any of the companies that I'm mentioning in this video. I bought everything with my own money. Okay, so let's start off talking about the benefits of using your phone for hiking videos. And the first benefit that comes to mind is image quality. It's no secret that today's phones have amazing image quality, especially given the teeny tiny lens and sensor that these things have. Now, are they as great as a $6,000 DSLR? Well, no, but they're still quite amazing. They also have really good image stabilization, which is something that's especially important for hiking videos, because as you're walking along, you're going to be kind of bouncing around a lot, so you don't want your footage to be all super jittery, because at that point it's just totally unusable. Now, it's definitely not as buttery smooth as, say, a GoPro or using a gimbal, but again, it's pretty damn good. The second benefit is using your phone is completely free. You obviously need to pay money for the phone itself, but assuming you already have a phone, then you don't need to spend any extra money on a bunch of camera equipment. And in addition to not costing anything extra, it also doesn't weigh anything extra in your pack, assuming you already bring your phone with you. And not to mention, phones have an extremely small form factor. You can literally just slip it in your pocket and take it back out when you're ready to film. And the last benefit is the fact that most phones have really good weather resistance. Now, of course, this varies from phone to phone, and I would certainly never recommend going swimming with your phone, but most phones today are good enough to at least withstand rain. All right, moving on, let's go through my own setup. So starting off with the phone that I use is a Google Pixel 2. This is actually my wife's phone. I'm recording with my own phone right now, but we both have Pixel 2s. And this one is several years old now, so it's by no means a brand new phone, but I got it originally because it's known for having a really good camera. And I'm more of an Android fan myself. I don't like iPhones all that much, although obviously iPhones are also known for having very good cameras. And really, just about any phone today, iPhone or Android, is going to have a camera that's at least good enough for making hiking videos. So as far as accessories, the first thing that I recommend you buy is a phone case. Now this one I just got for really cheap off Amazon. I think it was like 10 bucks or something. But the thing that I like about it is the fact that it has a built-in screen protector. I'm not normally a case kind of guy. I don't really like to use cases or even screen protectors on my phone in my day-to-day life. I know, I probably should, but I just don't. And I also recommend that you try to find a case that comes with a compatible phone clip. I know, these things have definitely gone the way of the dinosaurs since no one uses them anymore. But trust me, this will come in handy a bit later. So just snap everything into place. And from here, you could be good to go and just start recording your hiking videos. But I like to use a couple other things along with this case. And the first one is using this little phone mount with a handle. This phone mount is made by Joby, and it's the Joby Grip Tight POV. And what I really like about it is the fact that the mount part, instead of using a spring like most phone mounts do, it has this little locking mechanism. So what you have to do is just put it around the phone and squeeze down on it, because again, there's no spring. So squeeze down and then just lock this in place. And what I like about that is that there is no possible way for this part to go up on you. And that way it makes your phone a whole lot more secure. This thing is not going anywhere. And then this little handle is attached via a GoPro style mount. So you can actually use this with any type of a GoPro mount accessory. And I really like this handle, even though it's just super small and simple, because it's so much more comfortable to hold your phone like this instead of having to grip it like this. It's also a lot more secure. I just feel like I have a much better handle on it. No pun intended when I'm using it this way. It also comes with this little cold shoe mount that you can use for attaching a microphone. I will talk about microphones a bit later. And you can slide this onto either the top or onto the bottom of the mount, either one. And then you can stick a microphone on top of it. It comes with this little Bluetooth shutter button that you can also mount to either the bottom or the top. So you press that button to either start or stop your camera or take pictures. I have since lost it, but it is kind of nice. Now, one quick note on this mount. When I checked Joby's website yesterday, I can no longer find it within like their drop down of different products. And when I did eventually find it through Googling it, it said that it was out of stock. You can still buy it on Amazon, at least as of today. And again, there's a link in the description for that. But I have a feeling that they might be discontinuing this particular mount and handle. Now, you can still get the mount along with a GorillaPod style tripod. They call it the Grip Tight Action Kit. So at least that's still available, but this particular one, again with this little handle, might be discontinued. Okay, so I mentioned that you should try to find a case that comes with a clip. So let's get back to that. So what I like to do is add it to the shoulder straps of my pack, because my particular pack has daisy chain loops on it. So I just take the clip and put that through one of the daisy chains. And what this allows me to do is just clip my phone in place so I have really quick and easy access to my phone. And not to mention, it's really secure. This thing is just not going to fall off this way. Now, I love this setup because I am so incredibly lazy when it comes to making hiking videos. If I have to spend a bunch of time getting a whole lot of things out and spending time to do setup work, then I'm just not going to do it. I just don't want to. All I want to do is be able to take my phone, turn it on, press record, and go. I don't want to have to fiddle around with a whole bunch of stuff. So this setup makes it really easy and convenient for me. I also like bringing a tripod with me, and the one that I prefer to use is this Pedco Mini Ultrapod. This thing is really cool because it has a fully articulated head. You just loosen up this dial and you can move this thing around all over the place to get many different types of angles. And what I really like about it is it includes this little Velcro strap that is actually quite beefy. So the nice thing about this is you can tie it around a tree branch or something. So if you're trying to set up your tripod somewhere so that you can get a picture of you either walking down the trail or just standing and talking, this makes it really easy to do so. Now, it's not the largest tripod by any means in terms of how high up it sits. It pretty much sits like that. But I actually like the fact that this has a really small form factor because I have lately been using the tripod in place of this little handle. So because, again, this is a GoPro style mount, I just bought this little GoPro adapter with a 1/4-inch hole in the bottom and screw that on, then screw the tripod in place. And now I kind of have the best of both worlds. I get to still have quick, easy access to my phone, but I also just have my tripod directly attached. So I can use this for just recording my hiking videos like this. But again, if I also need to use the tripod, it's already attached to the phone. And then when I'm done shooting, it's just as simple. I fold this down, click it back into place, and I'm done. Now, I used to bring this much larger ball and socket style of tripod. This is just a GorillaPod knockoff that I got on Amazon, and you're supposed to be able to, bend these arms around and kind of wrap it around tree branches and stuff that way. But I found that this does not hold nearly as well as this Velcro. And not to mention, it's just so big and bulky. I can't really just attach it here and leave it that way. So I always have to take off my pack, switch everything out, get the shot I need, reverse that, and then put my pack back on. And again, I'm super lazy about all this. So this much smaller and more convenient tripod is way better for me. Okay, so that's how I set everything up with my phone. Let's talk a bit about microphones. Now, I think adding an external microphone is one of the best ways to improve the quality of your hiking videos, especially because the internal mic on the phone is typically kind of garbage, and for most cameras for that matter as well. So adding even just a tiny little mic can really improve things. But before I talk about the mics that I use, we first have to talk about something really important: dongles. Ever since phone manufacturers made the horrible decision to remove the headphone jack, it has been so much more difficult to add external mics to phones because now you need to use some type of a dongle along with it. And what I did with my dongle, since I don't want to just kind of, flapping around as I'm recording my videos, was just zip tied the hell out of it. Now, they do make some different clips and stuff that can kind of hold the dongle in place, but the one that I had just did not fit my particular dongle, so hence the need for all the zip ties, but I'm sure there's a more graceful way to do this. And one other note about dongles, I would recommend that you just go ahead and use the one that came with your phone, because there are digital dongles and non-digital dongles. This one for the Pixel 2 is a digital dongle, and what that means is there's a little microchip on the inside of the dongle, and it converts the analog signal from the microphone into digital so the phone can use it. Now, some phones have that chip on the inside of the phone, but some of them have them in the dongle. So if you try to attach a non-digital dongle to a phone that requires a digital dongle, then it will not work. I learned that the hard way. One other really important thing when it comes to external mics on your phone, you have to make sure that you have the right plug. You have to make sure that the one that you're using has 3 little black rings on it instead of the standard 2 rings. The 2-ring jack is called a TRS cable, and the 3-ring jack is called a TRRS cable. So it has an extra R. And that's very important because phones need to use the TRRS cable with 3 black rings in order for an external mic to work. And one more important thing about microphones: not every single phone allows the use of an external mic through its default camera app. Now, I know that iPhones do, so if you have an iPhone, you're totally fine. The Pixel line of phones from Google also allows that through the default camera app. I think Samsung maybe, but don't quote me on that. So not every single one does. I will talk about some apps that you can use that allow an external mic a bit later in the video, but again, just be aware of that fact as well. So I'm going to talk about a couple of different microphones, but I'm actually going to start off with one that I don't recommend. And I only want to talk about it because it's so incredibly popular, so I feel like I'm going to get some questions about it. And that is the Rode Video Micro. Now, this can attach to that included cold shoe mount that comes with that Joby mount. So you screw that on, and then again, you can stick it on the very top of the phone mount and use your microphone that way. But I'm not going to say too much about this Rode microphone. There's a million reviews on the Video Micro if you want to check that out. But the reason that I don't like using that is that it's just way too big and bulky. It completely ruins the advantage of a small phone, especially when you add on the extremely enormous windscreen to this. I mean, just look at how huge that is. And there's just no way that I can use this kind of a setup with my phone clip, so again, I don't like using the Video Micro. So a couple microphones that I do like. The first one is this little Saramonic microphone. So obviously this is much smaller than that Rode microphone, and it can move 180 degrees back and forth. And this is actually somewhat of a directional microphone, so it helps to have it pointed at you as you're talking. And what I like about that is when I use it with this dongle that I have, kind of rigged up with zip ties, it makes it really easy just to, switch it back and forth depending on how I'm talking. Another microphone that I've been using lately is this tiny, tiny little Etudige ETM001. This Etudige is even smaller than the Saramonic. I mean, look how teeny tiny this microphone is. That is crazy. And what I like about this thing is it's an omnidirectional microphone, meaning that it picks up sound in all directions. So you don't necessarily have to point it directly at you. And I've used it this way, where it's just pointing directly up, and it still sounds just fine. It would probably sound a little bit better if I got some type of like a 90-degree elbow connector and had it actually pointing directly at me. But again, even if you use it this way, it still sounds pretty good. And speaking of sound, let's go ahead and do a sound test of the Etudige, the Ceramonic, and the internal mic on the phone. This is a test using the internal mic. This is a test using the internal mic. This is a test using the Ceramonic mic. This is a test using the Ceramonic mic. This is a test using the Etudige mic. This is a test using the Etudige mic. I personally like the Etudige the best. It's definitely the loudest microphone of the three, but I do think that the Ceramonic is a little more clear and crisp. It definitely has a lower noise floor than the Etudige and the internal microphone. So if you go back and listen to it again, you'll hear more of a background hiss with the Etudige than the Ceramonic. It doesn't matter that much to me. I still prefer using the Etudige. But if you do want to see more of a real-world example of these microphones, all of my past trip videos use one of these. So my most recent video in Yellow River State Forest uses the Etudige. I'll put a link to that up in the cards as well as down in the description. But all my other previous trip videos, other than just one day hiking video that I did, uses the Ceramonic. So again, if you want to see what these two mics are like on the trail, go ahead and watch those videos. All right, the last thing I want to talk about are a few apps that you can use on your phone. So the first set of apps I want to talk about are some different camera app options that you can use instead of the default camera app. The one downside about using the default camera app is that it doesn't typically give you a whole lot of manual control over things like exposure and focus and white balance, and especially independent of each other. But you can use some different apps that give you a whole lot more control. One of them that I've used is called Open Camera. I believe this is only for Android. It's a completely free app, which is why it's very popular, and it gives you a lot of different control over all those things I just mentioned. It also lets you use an external mic, so if your default camera app, again, like I was mentioning before, does not let you use an external mic, Open Camera does. Another camera app that I've used is Filmic Pro. This is a paid app, and it's one that I'm actually using to record this video right now, and I believe this one's available for both iOS and for Android. Just like Open Camera, it allows you to adjust a whole bunch of different things from focus to white balance to exposure and so on and so forth, and it does let you use an external mic. I think this one is a bit better than Open Camera, especially the user interface. And it's great for shots like this where I'm set up in my studio and I need to kind of change and fine tune a bunch of different little things. Now, I used to use Open Camera for all of my trip videos, but I've recently switched back to the default camera app because I found that it just gives me better image quality. And I think that has to do with the fact that most phones have a lot of different camera software built into it that the default app uses, and not every third-party camera app is able to tap into that software. So sometimes you can get better quality through the default app. But if you do want to have a lot more manual control to get exactly the type of shot you need, then using one of these apps might be good for you. And obviously there's a ton more camera apps out there, but these are just the two that I have personally used and have some experience with. The last app I want to mention is an editing app. So believe it or not, you can actually do video editing on your phone. You don't necessarily need to buy some expensive software for your computer. And the app that I use to edit my videos is KineMaster. Or maybe it's KineMaster. I think I've heard people say KineMaster, so I'm just going to call it that. This one is a paid app, and while it's by no means as feature-rich as, say, Adobe Premiere or Final Cut Pro, I am so incredibly surprised by how many features it is able to pack into a mobile video editor. So you can do everything on this, from splicing and trimming your clips, moving them around, editing the sound and the color grading, adding text and a bunch of different transition stuff, and a whole host of other features that, again, I'm quite surprised that they're able to pack into a small little mobile video editor. Now there are other video editing apps out there, but again, this is the only one that I've used, and I, again, highly recommend it. I've been super impressed with how well KineMaster is able to edit videos on your phone. Well, that's all I've got today. Stick around for some bloopers as usual. Thank you very much for watching, and the next time you're on the trail, hopefully recording your trip, have fun out there. Is this thingamabob. What's it called? What's this called? Oh yeah, I forgot to talk about that. Let's just take all this crap out of here. We're doing fine. We're doing fine. Huh? A Bluetooth dust all over it. I think that's everything. Is get it stuck. Man, is my pack stinky or am I stinky? That was better.